Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mayowa, and today I'll be showing you how to make this side peplum skirt. This side peplum skirt is a structured one, and today I'll be showing you easy steps on how to achieve your own side peplum skirt. So let's get right onto it. So here is my basic skirt pattern, and this is the foundation of how I'm going to be starting. But if you don't know how to draft or how I achieved this basic skirt pattern, I have a video tutorial on how to get or how to draft a basic skirt pattern, so please check the description box for this tutorial. Now, when you have your basic skirt pattern, the next thing you need to do is to determine how long you want your skirt to be. So for me, I'm going to be using this this miniature pattern for you, but then whatever it is I'm explaining, I'll be saying how I'll be instructing you on how to do that on your actual full size pattern. But I'm just going to use this to illustrate, but whatever it is I am saying is going to be the actual measurements you'll be using on your full size pattern. So the first thing you are going to do is to determine how long you want your skirt to be. Now for this skirt, I've decided that okay, I want my skirt to be exactly 20 inches long, and 20 inches is like a mini skirt for me. So for you, it can be 24 inches or it can be 20, depending on how long you want. You might want a midi skirt, you might want a mini skirt, or you might want a full length skirt. So that just depends on you. Now, after determining how long you want your skirt to be, so you draw a line like this to signify the length of the skirt. So at the hem, this represents the hem of my skirt. This is the zip allowance side, and this is the side. These are my darts. So the first thing you need to do after determining the length is to come right here to the hem here and then measure in 1.5 inches. So that 1.5 inches makes it pencil, makes your skirt pegged like pencil, like it gives you that pencil form. So you measure 1.5 inches inside, and then you connect all the way to your hips here. So I'm just going to do that now. Now the next thing is to come right here, and I'm going to this is the front. This is the front pattern of my skirt. So that's all you have to do to get your pencil skirt. Now this pattern represents both my front pattern and my back pattern. So once I fold my zip allowance here, it gives me, I can cut this on fold, and it gives me my front pattern. Now once I have this open, it gives me my back pattern. So once you are done cutting out your front pattern, you can then come to the zip allowance side here and measure 1.5 cm, just so that your zip doesn't bulge at the back. So you measure 1.5 cm out here, then you connect all the way like this. Now this is to make sure your zipper at the back doesn't swell, doesn't have that bulge at the back. Now the next thing is for you to add in your allowances, and that's all there is to do for this skirt or your pencil skirt. So I'm going to add 1/2 inch here, 1 inch here, and 1 inch at the hem. Now that's all you have to do for the skirt piece. So once you are cutting this, you fold this to cut your back, to cut your front piece, and then you open it up to cut your back piece. I'm just going to cut this part. Now this is my final pattern. So I'll just fold this up to cut the front, and then I'll open to cut the back. Now for the peplum, you come right here to the dart line here. First, before that, you determine how long you want your peplum to be. So me, I want my peplum to stop on the hip side. So I'll measure what I have from here to my hip side. So for this miniature pattern, you measure what your own full size pattern will be. Now, but for my miniature pattern, from my hip to the to my waist is 3.1 inches. Then you can write that 3.1, or for whatever you get from here to here, write it down somewhere. Then you come to your dart line here and measure from your dart line here, this middle line, this middle dart line. So you measure from here all the way to your side here. So for me, I have 1.5 inches. So whatever you get from here to here, multiply it by 2, and that gives me 3 inches. So it's going to cover the peplum from here all the way to the back. So for me, I have 1.5 inches here, then 1.5 times 2, that gives me 3 inches. So I'm going to pick up another piece of paper and measure 3 inches. Then whatever you got from here, from your waist to where you want your peplum to stop. So mine is at 3.1 inches. Then you measure that length like this. No, so this is the hem of your peplum. So just mark out the hem, and this is the waist part, so you don't confuse them. Then you measure this and divide it into 2. So my 3 inches at the waist, I divide it into 2, that gives me 1.5. So I'll locate my 1.5 here. All the way down. Now the next thing you need to do is to slash this, what you have here, you slash it open. You slash it, but all the way, not through. You can stop like a quarter away from you. Then you pick up another piece of paper. You pick up another piece of paper and place it on it. Then you use that to spread this slashed part. You spread it out. Now you can spread out as much as you want. It depends on you and how huge you want the structured peplum to be. So this is it for me. Then the next thing for me to do is to add in my allowances, blend this part, add my allowances here, and that will be all for this peplum. So I'm just going to add my allowance. I'll add my ½ inch allowance here, ½ inch here, also ½ inch all the way around. Now I've added my allowances. Now before you cut this out, you need to make sure you blend this part out, just so that when you are cutting this, when you cut this on your fabric, you don't have pointed edges here. So I'm going to blend it out. So I'll curve it, I'll curve this part, and also come to the waist here and also blend it out. Now I'll be cutting this out of my fabric and out of this paper. Now this is my completed peplum. This part, this is what it's going to look like. So it goes like this. It goes here at the side here. But I'm going to be showing you how to make it structured. Now, to cut this out of your fabric, you cut this out of your fabric, and then you cut this also out of your fabric. Now, but for the purpose of this tutorial, I won't be cutting the lining for this because it's a miniature, it's a scrap dress. So I'm not going to be wasting my time cutting it out of the lining. But for you, when you're cutting this, you cut this out of your fabric and also out of your lining. Also, then you cut your skirt also out of your fabric and out of your lining. If you feel like you need a lining for your skirt. Now I'll be cutting this out. Now before we cut this out of our fabric, the next thing you need to do is to cut this open here. So cut this open, which turns this skirt into a panel skirt. So we cut this open from the dart line here, like this. So you label it, then you cut. This will be the center front and this will be the side front. Now I'm going to do that now. Now you can see that I cut out the dart, so I don't need to be worried about the dart excess here. Now make sure you label this appropriately. This will be your center front and this will be the side front. So you cut one of this and you cut two of this, and when you want to cut the back also, you open up the zip, you cut one of this and then you cut two of this. But cutting this one of this at the back will be, since it's not going to be on fold, it's going to be two pieces. So I'm just going to cut this out now. Now make sure you add ½ inch allowance here before you cut this out. So you add ½ inch here, ½ inch here, just so that when you are joining, you have allowance to join it back when we are ready to sew. Now this is the part where you begin to mark all of this appropriately, so that it doesn't get mixed up and you get confused when you're sewing. So this is the M. Then you do like 2 slashes here to represent the joining, where you'll be joining the two together. This is already marked. Then this is the waist. This is the waist, and now that is all there is to it. Now this is my center front and my 2 side fronts. This is my center back and the 2 side backs. Now at this point, if your fabric needs for you to add the lining, this is the part where you cut your lining also. But for me, I'm not going to be cutting a lining for this. Then we'll come right to the peplum and also cut the peplum out of my fabric. So now I'm going to be cutting the peplum out of my fabric and also out of this stay. This stay is called a peplum stay. You can also use a collar stay if you have one. So this stay is what you'll be using. So you cut one of this out of this, and then you cut one of this also out of this. So this one represents one side, and then you cut another one which will represent the other side. So I'm going to do that now. Now these are my cut out peplum pieces. So all I have to do now is to iron this onto my fabric, and then we begin sewing. Now to sew, we are going to start with the front piece first. Now this is my center front, this is my side front, and this is the second side front. Now to sew this, we are going to be joining this together at the darts we slashed open earlier. So we'll join it together here. Now to sew this, then before we join this, we'll make sure we pin the front of this peplum. We pin it here. We pin it here, so we can place this on top of this also. So by the time we are done sewing, this is going to be here, and this is going to come like this. So I hope you understand what I just showed you. Now if for your own actual skirt, you're going to be needing a lining to cover this part. So before you sew, before you attach the peplum to the middle of this, you need to first turn in your peplum before you do any of that. Now before I do that, for the peplum I have to trim out all the extra bit of interfacing here, and I'm going to do a bit of, I want it to be a bit irregular here. I don't want it to be equal like this, so I'm just going to fold this. But first let me trim this. So I'm going to fold this together like this, and then I'll measure up by maybe 3 inches. Then you use that, so you cut that from here all the way to the side here, so it gives you one kind of concave curve like this. So I'll just do that now so you see what I'm talking about. So we'll go up by 3 inches. So I'll do the same for the other side too. Now we have that covered. So then when you're done doing this, you attach your lining. You use your lining to turn to close up your interfacing. Now we'll be sewing. So I'll place this right sides together on the center front like this. Then I'll place this on top of it. Then I'll sew. Please make sure you use a thread that is similar to your fabric. The only reason why I'm using a different color of thread is just so you can see what I'm doing while sewing. Then you do the same also for the other side. Now this is what this is going to look like. Now before we do the same for the back, we'll come right here and you pick up your side back piece. So these 2 side back pieces, you pick it up and then you place one here, and then for the other side you place this one here. So but first I'll be doing for this side. So I'll sew this side together by 1 inch. You know, you added 1 inch allowance to the side when you were drafting, so you sew this by 1 inch. Then you do the same also for the other side. So I'll place my side piece also here. The side piece of the back, I'll place it here. Then you need to go iron all of these seams open. So you press them open, you press all the seams open. Now this is what this is going to look like. Now we need to complete the back. Now for the back, I pick this up. This is my peplum. I pick it up and place it here. I'll place it here, and then I'll place my center back right on top of it. Now this is this. Then I'll place my center. I've already notched my zip allowance, so my zip allowance is in the middle here. So this is the part I'll be joining. So I'll place this right on top of this, and then I'll be sewing it. Now look at this. Look at this, like the structured piece. Now we'll do the same for this other part too. Then you go iron like the seams open here, and then you iron these seams open also here, and then we come right here to the middle. So we need to join the 2 zip allowances together. So you place them together, leave some space like from the waist here all the way here, like you can leave like 7.5 inches, or it depends on how long your skirt zipper is. So you leave some space here, and then you close up the rest using the allowance you added for your zip allowance. So you close it all the way down, or if you want, you can add a slit at the back just so you can move around. So you leave some space at the top here, then you close up a bit here, and then you leave some space for the slits at the back, so just so you can wear your skirts. So now I'm just going to do that now, and that's that for that. So you need to open this up also and then iron it down. This represents my slits, and this represents the part for the zipper. So you fix your zipper right here in the middle, and then I'm going to open this up so you will see. Now, and that's that for that. So you can leave this like this if it's to your taste like this, but if I'm the one making this for myself, I would have to add a waistband to the waist here. So after fixing my zip at the back, I'll be ready to fix my waistband here. So if you don't know how to fix a waistband to your skirt, please check out my video on how to sew a bow tie pencil skirt. The video will be right in the description box, so you can learn how to fix your waistband. But for this, I'm not going to be fixing any waistband on this, so I'll be putting this on my mini mannequin just so you can see the final look and what it looks like. So remember to also close the hem of your skirt. So you sew down by 1 inch, and then you sew down by 1 inch. But if you are using a lining for your skirt, you would have already turned the hem line with your lining. So I'm just going to put this on my mini mannequin just so that you can see what the final look looks like. And that's for that. Just look at the skirt. This is the structured piece, the structured part. Then you can place your waistband here, and then you'll be ready to rock this skirt out anytime you want. Now let me place this jacket that I made on it and and see what this looks like. It's probably too tall for the camera, so I'm just going to So that's that for our structured side peplum skirts. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, guys, and give this video a thumbs up sign. You can also turn on the notification bell right beside the subscribe button so you don't miss any of my new videos. See you in my next video. Bye.